Super proud of our guys. That is the type of fight that we expect on a night-to-night basis. I mean, listen, closing the game 15 nothing. During the timeout, I believe it was 107-98. And I challenged them to get 3 stops in a row. Luke offered up trapping because I believe we had 2 fouls to give, and then we ended up under 2 minutes still with 1, so it allowed us to just continue to be super aggressive, which was super big time. Across the board, so many guys came up huge. 18 points in the final quarter for them is, I mean, it's not going to happen every night, obviously, but that's what we want to be. 6 fast break points in the second half after 13 in the first. They locked in, and just, again, super proud of them.
Some of those stops that you were talking about, particularly during that run, on the offensive end, you'd end up with a turnover. In previous games, you might see a let-up on the other end of the ball. How pleased were you to kind of see, like you talked about, them locking in but not giving up that rope either?
Well, we've talked about it, like make, miss, turnover. We can't. These are the times that we have to overcome. We have to figure out a way to make it happen. We have to manufacture what we need, and that crowd, incredible, like playing for that crowd and in front of that crowd. I think like that is the spirit that I like to see out of them on a night-to-night basis. And again, just super proud of them.
Doug, this is your 3rd game. Just how much, especially with the crazy crowd, the way the game was coming down to the wire, how was it for you to live in the moment and try to figure out how to coach through that?
A lot of fun. A lot of fun. I enjoy this. I'm a glutton for punishment, probably, because it doesn't always go your way. But to watch a group of young men fight and battle and do the things that I'm asking of them that sometimes may go against what they normally do. It got chippy, and we've talked about not talking to the refs, and I was like, Trey, you owe me. And he was like, you're right, my bad. And then he comes up with that huge steal. DeMar goes in and closes the game out, ends up being a defensive player of the game with 2 steals, like an all-around effort to experience that. It's big time, man. It is. It's everything that I thought it would be. I'm a bit greedy, so you want more, but that there's just a lot of work ahead, and it's hard to win in this league. But these guys continue to fight like that. It'll make it special, especially for our fans.
DC, you talked a little bit pregame about how great De'Aaron can be on the defensive side of the ball. We've always kind of known him more as a leader by example. When he's playing the kind of defense and the physicality on Tyrese Maxey and setting the tone in that way in the 4th quarter, how much easier does it make it for a DeRozan, a Monk, everybody else to kind of follow suit and step up to follow that?
Like De'Aaron Fox is elite, man. He is. He has the ability to sit down and guard because of his quickness, his strength, and his athleticism, his anticipation, and then his competitive nature is just high level. And he's finding his way in front of our very eyes, and it's huge, man. I just hugged him and said, love you, man. Like, thank you. Like, taking me on a ride because you're taking the city on a ride. And even like when I look at Domas, like 12 defensive, 9 offensive, 21, 17, Malik, like all around. But before we left the locker room, I said to De'Aaron, before we headed out on the floor, it's just like, you set the tone because you are the tone setter. Get downhill and get at them immediately. And they did.
With no Keegan, Keon got the hardest assignment of PG there and threw him in a couple different spots. But just what do you think of his effort doing everything out there.
Yeah, I saw his clip too, by the way. I saw his clip. So I gave him a bunch. I did. Big time. The one that stands out to me was the charge, because I asked him to continue to play with physicality. You know, he's not the bulkiest guy, but his anticipation, his willingness to try to be physical, and that was an extremely physical play, and he didn't open his hips and allow him an angle to get downhill. He stayed square, and it's difficult, man. It's painful, first of all. Like, are you willing to sacrifice yourself that way? Keon just came up huge, 4 steals.
Coach, to what extent does trapping like you did tonight, to what extent does it play to the strengths of De'Aaron and Keon in particular, and to what extent does it reflect the mindset that you want your team to have defensively?
I think it's definitely a mirror. I'm aggressive by nature. That's what I want to see from them. Like, we might not be the biggest and different things when you look at other, really good defensive teams, but there's always something that you can do and out there. And we have guys that anticipate well. You put pressure on the basketball, I want you to fly through the gap and get it. Like, put pressure on them. If they can make that pass all the way to the corner, you got to shake their hand, because there are some guys in this league that can make that pass, but those guys were flying around the floor, and that's what we want.
Doug, you said what you said before the game about home court and doing it for these fans here. To see these guys respond 2 games in a row and go out and do that, how pleased are you to see that? I mean, pleased,
I think the word is proud. Like, it was Sacramento proud, I guess. That's probably the word, because during times like these, when things like all that went on has happened, there's 2 things that you can do. You can give up, you can let up, or you can get at it. And these guys, they continue to come in, to respond, to listen, to try and do what I'm asking of them, which I know is like super extremely hard, because there's a conditioning aspect to what I'm asking you to do, because you got to play hard on both ends of the floor. And as somebody who did that, I totally understand it. But as I told them, these fans deserve that. This is our house. We want to defend our house. We're going to have ups and downs. Like, I get that. But the one thing when you walk out of here is like, damn, they play really hard. That's what you want when they walk out. Yeah. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.